Hey guys. So today somebody shared a 20-minute video that's on YouTube and was clearly one of these AI generated scripts and an AI generated speaker. You can tell if you look at the details of the lip syncing and just somehow just slightly too smooth. Anyway, so the video made a series of claims. One was it said that a law called the Digital Currency Modernization Act was signed this week in the US, which apparently was going to take effect this weekend, that it would drop cash reporting thresholds from $10,000, this is US only, from $10,000 down to $600, and that federal payments were going to be moved to mandatory Fed digital wallets. Okay. Another thing was something about precious metals, that any kind of trade of precious metals over $200 had to be reported and put on a register, and plus all digital transactions would become visible to federal agencies. Now, all of those claims are factually and demonstrably false. There's no such act in the US. There's no bill number, there's no enrolled statute, there's no federal register notice, blah, blah, blah. Cash reporting is the same as it was, and there's no mandatory central bank digital currency in force yet. So, I think the point of this is not that the video is false. The point is there's a lot of information out there, and it goes back to a lot of stuff that we talked about in the Red Pill Food Revolution book, which is a few years old now. And one of the things we talk about is bullshit, and how there's always truth. The bullshit comes in a sandwich, right? You get truth, bullshit, and truth, right? And it's not about outright lies. What it's about is the misrepresentation of the intent of whoever's making the message. Okay, so. Yes, we should absolutely be taking more responsibility over our money. We should be aware about money and the importance of money. So this isn't just about, what do you do with your savings or your investments. It's much more fundamental than that. It talks about control, and we should absolutely be preparing for what is to come. But it's not going to be signed away in secret in a matter of days. This is going to happen by stealth. The programs that are in motion here manifest over decades. They've been planned over decades, not weeks. Okay, so there is a real trend, like a meta trend above this. Money is absolutely becoming more digital. Now that's actually that's kind of neither good or bad, or both good and bad. Because digital money, in terms of crypto, can increase our choice and increase our freedom and our sovereignty. And the fundamental thing is the difference between crypto and CBDCs, central bank digital currencies, is that crypto has been designed for permissionless use. So you don't need anyone's permission to receive it, to keep it, or to spend it. And CBDCs are kind of the opposite of that. I'll talk a bit more about that in a second. I've got a couple of Australian magpies come to talk to me. This one looks like a chick. Yes, they're trying to bring in more regulation and more visibility, because governments need visibility in order to control what we do with our money. And this is really the key thing. This is what we should be concerned about. And like I say, change is coming, but it's a slow process. So should we be naturally suspicious about CBDCs? Absolutely, completely, 100%. We should be suspicious, but we shouldn't be panicking and we shouldn't be freaking out. So I think the central bank digital currencies, they look like they've got similarities to cryptocurrencies on the surface, but what CBDCs look like kind of a system-wide immune response to crypto. It's a system that requires control. It's built on the control of the many by the few, and crypto threatens that. So they're trying to bring in a controllable version of of crypto. So CBDCs is different from other forms of money. CBDCs have been designed to be visible, legible, controllable at the transaction level, which is not necessarily the case with crypto, Ethereum, Bitcoin, whatever. So what we need to remember is that governments are just corporations, and what corporations are is a concentration of power and control. So something that I've thought for, I actually remember when this thought arrived. I was driving over to Mark Atwood's event in Manchester several years ago now, about 3 or 4 years ago. And what I thought was, whenever something else comes along on the scene, I think this is still true, when a new technology or a new law or something like that is proposed, how do we tell whether we should embrace it or consider it or run as fast as we can in the opposite direction? Now, we probably shouldn't run as fast as we can anyway. We should just say, no, thank you, we're not going to take part in that, thank you very much. So the key factor is, could this be used, could it be used to increase technocratic control over our freedoms? Not, are they saying it's going to be used on day one, right? So we're not saying, is this going to bring in a dystopian reality tomorrow if they sign it off? No, but could it? And the bottom line is, if it could be used, so like, for example, we've seen things about, should the police be allowed to detain people without blah, 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 right, for up to 7 days because of terrorism, right? Well, no, because that could be used for nefarious purposes to take away our rights and our choices and our freedoms, right? So it's like, if it could lean that way, then we should push against it. So the question then is, well, which way should we lean? Right? So CBDCs, because they can be used to say yes or no to transactions at the transactional level, which crypto by its nature does not, we should be highly suspicious of that. And we talked about that in the last chapter of the Red Pill Food Revolution. So the picture that we came up with, and Graham Norbury suggested this, he said, you go into Aldi and you put a few steaks in your basket and some minced beef or whatever, and you go to the checkout and it says Barrack declined because you have reached your carbon limit for this month. So you can't have steak. You have to go back and get a packet of, insect dust or mung beans or whatever. Okay, so that's exactly the kind of thing that we're talking about. It will literally have that control over at the point of sale about what you can and you can't do. Likewise, digital cars, these electric vehicles that could literally be programmed to stop working if you go past a certain limit. You are now outside of your 15-minute city. I'm going to turn around and take your ass home. Right? It could be used to do that, which is why I'm not going to rush out and buy a digital car either. Right? So, does it preserve freedom, choice, responsibility? And right now there's a lot of stuff on blockchain, there's a lot of stuff with crypto that can be used to do that. It does not protect you from human nature. So we still need to be responsible, but that's just the flip side of freedom, guys, that's it. So what should we be doing? Look out for anything that preserves our freedom of choice. Diversify your interest, diversify your investments, and that's basically it. But bottom line, don't freak out, don't panic, and always know where your towel is. Take care.